Could MJF end up in the WWE at some point in time in his career? Hey, everybody, it is John. This is WrestleScope, and we are in the middle of the 61 days of WrestleScope. Actually, we are on day number 39 now, so over halfway on our way to 61 straight days of YouTube broadcasts here on WrestleScope. And I want to come to you with one story today, and this is from Ringside News, so take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, MJF, one of the top heels in the business right now, possibly the top heel in AEW, has really catapulted himself in really short amount of time at the age of 25 into being a superstar. And we saw him in the main event this past Wednesday leading his faction, the Pinnacle, against the Inner Circle in blood and guts. Well, MJF's AEW contract reportedly is going to expire in 2024, so in 3 years. And it really doesn't, it's too early to say where he's going to end up. But he did an interview with Steel Chair Magazine this last week, and he stated, and this is coming from Ringside News, that AEW runs deep in him. But despite that, he's a businessman in the end. That's what it's about. And he was asked directly where he sees himself in the next 3 to 4 years. Obviously, we'd be looking at just beyond 3 years if his contract expires at 24. And MJF revealed that he is open to contract negotiations with any wrestling company. And that also means the WWF. This is a direct quote from MJF in that interview with Steel Chair Magazine. I'd say I'd be near the end of my contract. I would be the AEW World Champion. I would still be part of the greatest faction in professional wrestling, known as the Pinnacle. All of my brothers in arms would have gold, and then at that point, the highest bidder baby. MJF continues on. Me and my boys were willing to go wherever the money's at. It's that simple. Don't get me wrong. AEW runs deep in me. I don't want to leave, but I'm a businessman at the end of the day, and I can't help myself. If somebody's got an offer for me, I'm going to listen to it. So what do you think? Obviously, the ceiling is high, extremely high for MJF. He has proven his stock in working directly with Chris Jericho that he is obviously the number one heel. I'd say he's actually higher than Kenny Omega right now in AEW. He has proven what he can do in the ring, on the microphone, everything he does. But could he someday eventually end up in the WWE? If money talks, would MJF seriously consider going to WWE when his contract is up in 2024? Guaranteed, MJF is going to be an AEW World Champion before his contract expires. I would say most likely within the next 18 months. Before the end of 2022, MJF will be the AEW World Champion. Will he hold the TNT title before that? I don't know. He does need to get some gold on himself very soon. And that would mean we'd have to see if Miro ends up winning the belt on Wednesday night over Darby Allin. That means sometime in the next couple of months, a babyface would end up having to win it. How ironic it would be if Sammy Guevara was that babyface that ended up winning the title off of Miro, and then MJF defeats Sammy Guevara for that title. Now, the question has to be asked, is the TNT title too low of a title for MJF at this point in time, or should his focus be on the AEW World Championship? It's really hard to say. You had Cody Rhodes as the TNT champion. Then you had Brody Lee as the TNT champion. Would it make sense for somebody on the level of MJF to hold it? I would think so. I think that actually would not be a bad first championship belt. Either that or maybe teaming with Wardlow and winning the AEW Tag Team Championships. But that's more of kind of a WWE thing where you have the leader of a faction winning tag team gold. I think he needs to have a singles championship. But that being said, if what he says is right, his contract is coming up in 2024, he is the AEW world champion at that time. Would he really consider taking bids from elsewhere? Or would he stay in the place where legitimately he became a star? He honed his skills elsewhere, but he became a star in AEW. Me personally, unless things really change in the WWE product, I don't see any main event caliber talents leaving AEW to go to WWE. Not the way things are going right now. And I do consider MJF to be a main event talent. The possibility is definitely there. The door is open. But quite honestly, I think MJF is just playing people. If you listen to any of his interviews anywhere, he very rarely breaks character. I think this is MJF the character and not the person behind the character talking. So if I were to be forced to make a prediction right now, MJF will not end up in the WWE. At least not in the next 5 years. Further down the road in his career, maybe. There could be some potential. He could look at it and say, listen, I've done everything I can in this company. I need to face some other people. I need to challenge myself in another way. That could be the other thing, along with a big paycheck, that could attract somebody like an MJF away from AEW. That's just my thoughts and opinions. Leave your opinions on this in the comment section. I will be answering everybody that comments on this. Do you think MJF could end up in WWE someday? And would he be a good fit in WWE somewhere down the road? I am John. This is 61 Days of WrestleScope. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, please give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and give a Falcon's arrow following the suplex off the top rope onto the notification bell. Okay, maybe that one doesn't work too well, but that way you will be notified every time something new comes on this channel. And also don't forget to follow us on all of our different social media. Easiest thing to do is click on the link in the bio. You can click on all the different social media links. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you very much for tuning in. Tomorrow it will be day number 40. That's right, the big 40 of WrestleScope and the 61 Days of WrestleScope. Have a good night, everybody, and we will talk to you on Monday.